with Climate Adhesive and Joint Sealants here. We're going to do a little video to show you some tips and tricks about how to run a nice bead. It's really simple, but if you don't know it, you don't know it. So first of all, when you cut your tip, I like a slight angle on mine. Other people like different angles. Doesn't really matter. It's a personal preference thing. It all has to do with the angle that your tip meets the substrate at. And so you can manipulate that angle so that the bead is kind of tooling itself off rather than laying that big nasty bead that then takes a lot of work to finish off and look nice. So first thing, you obviously cut the angle, but then have your tip about the size of the bead that you want to put in, especially for this type of situation where you've got a cove bead that's going in. So we'll just start real quick here. So as you can see, the angle of the tip is fairly obtuse, right? So you lay it like that. Now watch as I lift up the butt of the gun. The butt of the gun comes up. Now it's tooling itself off. It all has to do with the angle of the tip to the substrate. So you always want to keep that tip at an angle where it smooths itself out and kind of makes it look pretty without having to do a whole lot of work. So now, obviously, what you can see is where there's a little issue with it, stuff like that. You can see the ugliness of this up here. But when you get in through here, where you had the angle right, then the bead is tooling itself, and it looks pretty nice. There's not a whole heck of a lot you really need to do to that. And so next what we'll do is we'll go over a tooling method that I've always used. There's different ways to tool. You know, some people will use a type of foam that they can cut to the size they need, and they'll dip it in a little bit of mineral spirit or some type of solvent like that that prevents the sealant from sticking to the foam, and they'll tool it out like that. Other guys will use soap and water. What we recommend at Climate is dry tooling for maximum adhesion. Sometimes those other solvents and soaps and stuff can give you a problem with adhesion long term. Maximum adhesion is dry tooling. What I use is an empty plastic tube. And what you're going to do is take your utility knife and you're going to make a slit maybe a couple inches long down the tube, as you can see. It's just a straight slit down the tube. What you do with that, I've already done a little bit of tooling, and you can see that there's excess sealant on the tip of that slick. That plastic tube takes care of that. Now when you go back into it, you don't accidentally touch something and start getting sealant where you don't want it, like on your substrate or on yourself. So the plastic tube is a nice little trick. And so you see up at the top here, we've got excess sealant. You know, we don't want that, so we're going to do what we call back scraping. Now when I get to the top, I want to pull down back into it. That way any tags or any trailers get pulled back into the material. If I pull straight out like that, it's just going to fall wherever it falls. And then again, you see all the sealant on there? Clean it off. Dry tooling is a bit of an art, so it's kind of like when you run your bead. The angle that you carry your slick at to the bead matters. If I'm too much of an angle this way, I'm just going to dig the material out and spread it all over. So you kind of have to find that sweet spot. And once you find it, and then you can take multiple passes. It's not a one-pass approach. Different substrates, you'll be constantly changing this angle. Like this, like you'll move a little more out, then you'll slide it down a little bit. Stuff like that. That angle, depending on what you're doing, constantly changes. There's a bit of an arc to it, you know, and that's what's kind of cool about it. If you're into that sort of thing, if you're kind of an artistic kind of person, you're probably going to like dry tooling because it is a very artistic kind of thing. And there you have it. Now, the bead is attractive. It's got the cosmetics you need, but you're also ensuring good adhesion by pressing with your slick into that sealant, forcing it into each substrate, wetting those substrates the way you need those substrates to be wetted so that you do ensure maximum adhesion.